Like to call the village board to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Here.
Trustee Paul.
Here.
Trustee Zerbal.
Here.
Trustee Mark Williams.
Here.
Trustee Bukowski.
Here.
Trustee Melcheski.
Here.
President Kardowski.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I need action on the agenda. I have no changes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda. We have no public, so I would assume we are going to move on. Number 6, discussion and possible action on village manager position and vacancy. Okay, so I decided that we should get together and discuss our vacant village manager position. We had a meeting last week with all of the department heads. It came out pretty clear that they are in favor of HR. People would like to see HR, but it also then came out very clear that they want the village manager position also. So if there were, I don't know, that's why I had Greg in the meeting because of the budget stuff. I don't know with the budgets looking the way they are, if we can have both positions. I called Kurt Weyers at the school district. Their HR person is pretty tapped out. But if we had a question, she could answer it for us. Tony and I have called a couple different places about hourly rates for if we would contract. So I don't, like I said, the message was very strong and very clear that the department heads want a village manager to go to. So I will let Greg talk about the budget a little bit, and we'll discuss things and see where we go.
So it's no secret we've been talking about the budget woes this year and how it's likely to carry into next year. I don't have any new information for next year other than the longer the virus goes on, the longer everything is going on will continue. As for next year, well, the budget shortfalls this year really are around room tax, and then Oneida shared agreement money is the latest. So those are two large amounts. Going into next year, the two big issues initially will be the Oneida service agreement and then also the assessed valuation. That assessment ratio is expected to drop about 5 points, which equates to roughly $400,000, all things being equal. It's just the way that flows through the tax calculation. So in other words, we would have to raise levy tax rate essentially to accommodate, to get that, just to hold things steady. So with that said, we do face similar challenges each year, not quite to that extent. Adding another position in the budget comes up every year, typically for something. So it's just one of those decisions to be made. And you know, as Mary alluded to, the department heads, I think we like the existing structure. We think it works, not just with Allison, but prior to that as well. And we are all in favor and agree that there's a need for HR. I think everyone feels that, but not at the cost of that manager position. So I think personally it's one of these things that we just have to figure out how to make it work. Now maybe it's, for a year, it's spotty with some kind of contracted set dollar amount if we can, whether that's repositioning duties within the village. You know, we have the clerk position, which will be changing over, so maybe there's an opportunity to shift some work around where a lot of the mechanical HR, if you will, is placed on existing staff when something there is moved to somebody else, and et cetera, and all the way through finance, everything. There's a lot of people that would touch. And then you rely on some contracted for more of the, I like to call it the confidential HR, if you will. Those things that are more personal touch. The things like open enrollment, that HR component, that's really the mechanical, but it's time consuming. So and then maybe it's a shoot for the second half of 2021 or 2022 where you bring on a full-time person. But I just think it's important, and I know that the other departments think it's that important that we just have to figure out a way to get it into the budget versus, yeah, we know we need it, we'll get it there eventually, but just get it in. I don't know. It's going to be a tough budget go this year. I'm going to try to come to you as a board earlier with some of the points so that your minds are running before we hit the big budget meeting. There's just a lot out there, and there's not a lot of money. So I think we got to think in terms of 2-3 years down the road with decisions we're making now. So I don't have a pot of money just to say, yeah, go ahead and get it, but it's that important that I think we just have to figure it out. I don't know. I think that's a lot of discussion, a lot of scenarios, a lot of what ifs, a lot of moving this to there, that to here, sacrifices by all staff in other areas and capital projects and things like that. But I don't think there's a capital project on our list that's more important than bringing an HR person at this point. So I think that would be echoed by the department heads. They understand that.
I don't know who was all on the board at the time, but in 2009, we had a study done by, I can't remember the name, Public Administration Associates, I believe. And I've been combing through that, and it mentioned in there, it mentioned HR. It mentioned we needed to get a community development director, and we've gotten that. So we've gotten some of the things from that study. But like I said, I just don't see, I've talked with Greg a couple different times, how we can bring on a full-time HR. And it was also clear to me from staff, not just the department heads, but from other staff, that they would prefer that the HR position not be the combined with village manager. You know, Steve pretty much did it, Steve Kabaki did it before, and then Allison did it, and they would prefer to have a separate HR person. So I don't know if that for a year, you know, if we have to do a contract service, I don't know what it is, but that is what my thoughts are, talking with Greg and the other staff. So what are your thoughts?
Back when, before we hired Allison, basically I was on the village board, and what the route that we took at that time, because we changed those duties quite a bit, we directed finance and personnel to basically hold some meetings and try to figure out what those duties should be at that time. Is that something that you would want to do again to help break that down and do the background stuff on it and then bring a recommendation forward to the village board? Or do you want to just make it, you know, unilaterally here?
Well, I've looked at the job descriptions for Steve and for Allison both. They are kind of similar. If you peel away the HR duties,
But, okay, so I'll give you an example. Tony does a lot of stuff in HR right now in negotiations. Now, you could,
Right.
you could break some of that down possibly to have somebody doing negotiations that's your HR director. You know,
Yeah.
and leave Tony in there as counsel only, so that, you know, it takes a little bit away from him, but I don't know. I know that's the way we did it at the school district level. We had administrators that handled negotiations part of it, and then, because he's busy enough with everything else he's got going on that he's got to be involved in it naturally, but I mean.
right.
I agree with you, Mark. I would personally like to see a breakdown of responsibilities by job description, because to tell you the truth, I don't know totally what responsibilities everybody has in this building, and I'd like to see it before we move forward with any kind of decision personally.
Is there minutes from those meetings, Mark, that would
I'm sure there
show the
is.
breakdowns that was discussed at the
I
time?
know when we met at that time, we had, I I had a meeting, because something was happening here, it was at the school district office, believe it or not, that we had all the committee members from all the different committees show up too, and got their opinions on what we should hire, what their opinions were, who we should hire.
Okay.
Not who we should hire, but the responsibilities of that position.
Okay.
Mary, when was that study done? You said '09, I thought I heard?
2009.
Okay, I think that might have been just a year before me. 2 questions. Have we done anything to see if we do need a human resource person for the number of people that we have?
In
And
this-
have we gone out and looked at how they were structured? And Greg, I got one question for you. Back in '08, when economy was bad and people were struggling, did that interfere with our tax income that the village gets? Because we're back in hard times again with some people. Are we going to see a reduction in the intake in taxes because of that?
Back then, you're right, it was tough, but for whatever reason, the village didn't feel the pinch.
They didn't, okay.
No.
Okay.
Our tax collection rate is like 99.95%.
Oh.
It's insanely high. And the people that were having trouble were dropping below 90%. And we didn't, I mean, maybe we went down 2 bases, maybe we went to 99.93 or something, but we've never dipped. I don't think I've been trying to be aware and asking, I don't believe we've got a ton this year so far, but we'll find out for July 31st. That's the cutoff for the second installment.
Right.
But traditionally, the village has held pretty well through these times. So there've been a few closures. We've seen them in the news, but yet we always have that, but we somehow just bounce back. So I haven't seen anything, unless any of you have. I haven't seen other than what's in the news. But
I'm just concerned for some of the, let's say, the bar and restaurant businesses right now. They're really down. And are they going to be a problem? Because at that time, everything kept going. It may have been at a slower rate in '08, '09, but right now they just closed. And I don't know if that's going to affect that or not. That's the only reason I'm asking the question.
yeah, like I said, you may have a better feel for the businesses around the area than I would. And other than what's been in the news, I have no reason to believe that we're going to have a significant drop in tax.
Well, like
At
you
this point.
said, we'll find out the end of July.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as far as human resources, so industry standard is 1 human resources rep per 100 employees.
And how many employees do we have on staff?
Full-time, I believe we have 110.
It's about 110.
Oh.
But we balloon up to, in a full summer with part-time, we get up to 250, 275.
Wow.
That many
Yeah.
part-time
Yeah.
people?
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of park and rec working a couple hours
Oh,
a
that's
week.
true,
So when
yeah.
but
I'm looking at street only.
there's an admin impact, administration impact to that, where you're putting them on the payroll system, running them through payroll. Yeah, with our paid on call, the day-to-day just number of people, we have the 110, but then we've got crossing guards and we've got paid on call, which, HR impacted that. I don't know what it is, but so we're really right around 150 at any point in time people, but your full-time, fully employed are about 110.
Okay. And Allison, the number is what again?
1 rep per 100 employees. So it's pretty.
We are in the
Yeah.
ballpark of having somebody, and that would be a full-time person then?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll just say, my only concern, I've never, I guess, heard of contracted HR. My concern is that with as much as we have going on, as many employees as we have, in 1 year, let's say it starts August 1st, in 1 year, would we have ended up paying a salary? With the amount of hours that we see, would we have ended up paying a salary at that point? You know what I mean? And that's a thing that if we do go that route, we won't know until, unfortunately, a year from now, but that's my biggest concern. And then it also slows down an HR rep's ability to get a handle on everything. I mean, we're talking about we're going to have a 1-man HR department. That's a lot. I've done it before. So that is something to consider, the cost, obviously, but then if we delay it, that delays their ability to really get a handle on everything. So really, you're looking at, let's say we bring some in second half of 2021, you're really looking at 2022 by the time they even have a handle on how everything's structured, what needs to get done, all of that kind of stuff. So that's my biggest concern with contracting, but.
I agree. I agree with everything you just said, Allison, but like I said, talking with Greg with the budgets, I know it's really going to be tight. And I did have a conversation yesterday, if we did a contracted service, if we had somebody contracted for, say, 2 days a week, and I don't know what that cost would even be, if the employees know that there's a person here on Wednesday and Thursday, they can they can figure in their day when to come in and talk with that person. Some of the process part of the HR, Greg and I have talked about, can be handled by some of the other staff, the constant process, not the decision-making, but the process. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can keep the village manager as a full-time, because that's strong that, the department heads really want that position, and how we get some HR duties in there also.
I'm just thinking that I would prefer, if we're going to go in that direction, to figure out how we can get a full-time HR person, because I believe an HR person builds up a relationship with all the employees, and that's where they can go for their confidential talks. A part-time person don't take it at heart as a full-time person would. You get a full-time person, and they're going to hopefully be married to the village like all our full-time people are. A part-time person is, I'm here today and I'm gone tomorrow, I don't take this too serious. And I know cost is a factor. That's our biggest obstacle right now. So I would prefer a full-time if it's possible, because I think the relationship with the employees would be much greater than a part-time person.
What's the value range for a full-time HR person on the market, Allison? Have you got ideas?
I mean, you can hire someone for $40,000, but I
Really?
think we want someone more than that. I think we want someone with, ideally, if we could get someone with public sector experience, that'd be ideal.
Yeah.
If I had to put a ballpark on it, 60 to 70, right? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Now, I would say more if we didn't have a village manager, but now knowing that if we are going to have that structure, and Tony, they are a department head, they are a leader, but they have some resources to them, versus if you're an HR director with nothing really above you, you're the sole decision maker, where I feel like if you have that structure of a village manager above you, you have council, all that stuff, I think you could probably, depending on experience, I think if we get all of a sudden someone with 25 years public sector experience, that's a different story, but a one-man department, I'd say in that range, if we keep the village manager position.
Yeah, some of the stuff that I've looked up, it ranges anywhere from 60 to 80, 90, but a lot of it is, depending on how long they've been in the different positions, and the decision-making powers that they have do determine that.
Well, and that's something too that, I'll be honest, when I was a one-man department person, you start, and then all of a sudden the position evolves, and that's what happened to me, and there's a significant increase, because once you evolve the position, you got to start somewhere. And then I evolved it to more of a manager position with that type of responsibilities, and it was compensated that way. The change happened. It was, if I go out in the market, I can get $8,000 more, $10,000 more. Once I got there, then they went ahead and adjusted my salary a year and a half or a year down the road.
Right.
So that's something that very well could be something we're looking at, starting somewhere, and then seeing what happens to the position, and you won't know until it actually happens.
Right. About, Greg, you know, with a new full-time hire, what is the approximate percentage for benefit cost?
It's about 50% roughly. Just depends. I mean, at like 60, you'd be talking about 80 to 90,000 total.
Right.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't have problems, Mark, you know, if you want to, you know, if we want to get together committee people and ask them what they would like to see in a village manager.
Well, I would like to look at a couple different scenarios, I guess, you know, what are other communities doing, you know, our size? I mean, how do they handle it? We know what we think we need with a manager and a full-time HR director, but how are some of the other communities doing? I have no idea.
Yeah. If you look at De Pere, which is kind of close to what we are, there, you know, about 5,000-6,000 people more. They have full-time HR, they have full-time HR assistant, they have a full-time administrator. So they have a lot of staff. They have a lot of more people in their finance department, right, Greg? I talked with Howard. Howard has their administrative. They have about 50 employees in Howard. So they have less than us.
So Howard, do they structure it where they have administrative, what did you call him?
He's an administrator.
So he handles the manager duties plus the HR duties, just like Allison did?
Yeah, pretty much. Paul,
There's,
go ahead.
if I may interject, there's a Director of Administrative Services who also does it's not Mr. Everett's, Chris Holtum is his name. He also has the statutory requirements of the treasurer and clerk as well.
Right, right. I've seen that too. There's an administrator / clerk. So I know we have the clerk position that we're going to need to fill also. So I've been looking at clerk duties and, you know, so there's some duties that I think can be switched around. And that's why I said I just don't know if we can get a full-time HR for the money. You know, it's tough to add a full-time person anytime, and in what's coming up, you know, we had our budget for 2020 and we're already in a hole on that, you know, so.
I guess I don't want to just really jump to any conclusions right now. I think that our best option right now is to maybe refer it to finance and personnel, let it put it on a public meeting or two to get feedback from the public and some of the committee and stuff like that, and bring it back. I mean, we got to do something. We're going to cover it this year with what we got, one way or another.
Right.
And, you know, if we check out a couple different options and talk about it and see what they come up with first.
Okay.
Would there be much of a savings in splitting off some of the cost of the current manager's salary range to apply towards an HR person?
Greg and I talked about that. There will be some duties that would be taken away. I don't want to say taken away, but they would be shifted to an HR person from the village manager. However, your village manager still is the person that's, as they said, the air traffic controller. So, you know, you need to have somebody that's really got that knowledge of all of the stuff that's going on in our village. Greg and I talked yesterday about, it was debt. I can't remember the word you used, Greg. Debt.
Defeasance.
Deficiency, yes. So you need somebody who understands all of that. I mean, it's a big job. So I don't know that you're going to be able to peel a lot away. So.
And this is one of the most active population villages in the state.
Correct. Correct. So. Anyway, okay, what's thoughts?
I'd like to see that previous report, if you can pull that out of the files and maybe email it to us, or,
Why don't, I'll tell you what, I'll make a motion that we refer this to Finance and Personnel to do further study on this, get public feedback, and then possibly come back with a recommendation back to the village board.
I'll second being on the committee.
Okay, we have a motion to refer this to Finance and Personnel and come back with a recommendation and a second. Any more discussion?
Question, Mark, I know you and Mike are on that committee. How fast are we going to get something like this?
We meet, what is it, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Hey, Prep?
I mean, it's going to take a meeting or two because we're going to have to get some information and everything.
You're right. Can you do it in 60 days?
I hope so.
You know, because I don't want to sit still on some of this stuff.
Well, once we have that first meeting, we can schedule a second meeting right away or something, a special meeting. I'm
A
not worried
special
about
meeting
that.
or something?
Depends on how quickly we can gather the information that they're going to request, so.
Okay.
And that was my next thing after we voted on it. If that's the way we decide to go, I'm going to ask staff for some, to gather some information for that meeting.
Yeah, that report, like I said, I've had it, well, since 2009, so,
Yeah.
and I periodically read through it and checked off a few things that was recommended that we did do, so,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
So does everybody understand the motion?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Now, with that, I'm going to ask, I don't know how we're going to divvy up job responsibilities here, but I'm going to ask for that report, job descriptions of administrative staff from the department heads, and similar positions in the area of other municipalities and what their job descriptions are as well, just for a starting point.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Number 7, closed session.
Closed session items. During the meeting, the village board of the Village of Ashwaubenon may convene into closed session pursuant to A, Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the investing of public funds regarding severance for the village manager where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. B, Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel regarding severance of the village manager and strategy with respect to litigation in which it is or likely to become involved. The village board may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.852 to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Move to go to closed session.
Motion and a second to go to closed session. Roll call.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Paul.
Yes.
Trustee Zerbal.
Yes?
Trustee Mark Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski. Trustee Melchesky.
Yes.
President Kardasky.
Yes.
We are in closed session.